Any idea why Zed is so underrated? It seriously baffles me, says Kira Goes MC. Yeah, you know, we can take a question like that and we can extrapolate it into something really easy. Easy? Sorry, something really interesting, which is something I think about a lot, is like how trends permeate society, how people like arise to certain positions or whatnot. I tend to think about that more in the context of music. It's always like really intriguing to me how like different styles and eras of music emerge and who influences them, and the idea of like sort of like the butterfly effect. Like, what if you could go back in time and just change a couple of variables? Like, what if that person hadn't met this person and didn't join that band? Like, would they still be as popular? Would they be a big? Why were they popular? Like, sometimes it feels like bands get popular on more of a whim or like a bit of a cultural wave than maybe offering something genuinely, I don't know, creative and great for music. Not to put anyone down in particular, but sometimes it just comes across that way. So like, why are some YouTubers more popular than others? I mean, there's things like, we can talk about algorithms. Now, I think the YouTube algorithm gets a lot of flack as being like this mysterious force that punishes YouTubers, but really what the algorithm does is it increases engagement. It's well known that YouTube's metric for success is engagement. This means that their algorithms are optimized to keep people on the platform watching. So if that means that one type of person's content doesn't get seen as much, and they're saying, oh, it's the algorithm or whatever, could be true. But like, if we relay it with the context that the idea is to keep people on the platform, then if your content doesn't do that, like maybe it doesn't even matter how good you think someone's is, or if lots of people think it's really good, maybe people think, oh, this person's content's so great, but they don't actually watch it. It's like, it's great, but it's not for me. I don't know. Like, and I'm not saying that about Zedaph. I'm just like openly speculating about any type of content on YouTube. There's these mysterious mechanics, these levers that seem to get pulled and define who's successful and who's not, right? But ultimately, if they're optimizing for watch time and engagement, then it speaks volumes to who's successful, is who's engaging, who's keeping you there. If your content isn't keeping people as involved as other videos do, YouTube's going to serve up those other videos, right? That's their priority. They're trying to keep people on the platform. So when it comes to someone like Zedaph, his content's amazing. Are there other variables involved into like how it reaches people, how it spreads? Is it the type of content more people are likely to share or be a part of? I've noticed that with a lot of popular channels, there tends to be an element of cult of personality. And I think if you don't encourage that, like, and when I say encourage, I mean not actively encourage, just you don't create that with your audience, then maybe people that do just perform better. I can think of plenty of content creators that sort of sit in front of a camera and just chat and waffle. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not really sure what you're offering to the conversation. Maybe I've listened to too many good podcasts, right, with people that talk about stuff on a deep level or something. There's this element of cult of personality where I think an audience can like look at the person, see them and think, oh, I want to be like that, I want to be a YouTuber, and that can be a thing that engages people and lets them grow. And so you can look at one of those channels and you might think like, why is this big? Like, what is this? This person just talks about drama all the time or whatever, right? But that's what engages. So how we define quality is first of all very personal, but the qualities we think might lead to success on YouTube might not be. The Thinky says, what does that mean, cult of personality? Well, what is a cult and what is a personality? So essentially it is when people gather around a person. Now, I don't believe that that's the way to look at people. Like, if someone says really valuable, helpful things, that can sometimes create like a cult of personality. I always think that like it's the ideas themselves that you should pick up. So at various points in my life, I've had like individuals or characters that I've air quotes looked up to. Maybe you would say like a role model. But what I learned over the long run is that I don't think it's particularly helpful to like idolize or to encapsulate ideas in someone else. It is to take those ideas and make them a part of yourself. So like people with great ideas, I'm thankful that they share it, but I think you shouldn't like then worship them or create a cult of personality around someone. I might be using that term a little loosely too. people talk about Stalin as having a cult of personality, which isn't quite the same as talking about YouTubers, right? But the point is sort of that people can gather around a person and sort of idolize, and I think that's can be dangerous. And I think it's better to just take the ideas and the things that someone presents that might push you in that direction and make them part of your own thing. Make them part of you. Take those best bits and make them part of you, but like, don't idolize. Because everyone's human, everyone's flawed. You know, like all those silly things that you've done and those things you regret, like everyone else does that too. No one's perfect. So yeah, anyway, I see a lot of channels on YouTube that are very successful that are like, sort of sit down and talk and commentate, which sort of seems like maybe not a lot of effort and not something you would describe as being high quality and worthy of success in some ways. But what is YouTube optimized for? Engagement. Engagement doesn't have to be high level production quality values. It can simply be, do you keep interacting with this person's videos? And sometimes all that takes is drama, or it just takes a little bit of gossip. There's also like right time, right place. You know, like I got an early start on YouTube, but other channels around me, like Mumbo for example, there was a time when I was a bigger channel than Mumbo, but he just started with this different growth rate once he got going. And that speaks to how his content works with the YouTube algorithm and the audiences that are here on YouTube, right? There are some metrics or measurable things there. We don't know what they are because we don't have like a crystal ball or anything. But there are some things that he is doing that just ticks the right boxes and means that, you know, he succeeds at the rate he succeeds at on this platform. Now, I think some of those things are actually really obvious. Like, obviously, he's really smart and great with Redstone, and he's able to translate and teach people Redstone. So that goes a long way. But there's other things too, you know. So yeah, what I really find most fascinating about all of this is, like, imagine having like the crystal ball or the parallel universe. Imagine like you can create an experiment where you change one variable and it gives you an answer. Like, let's say you go back in time to the beginning of my channel and I do something slightly different with my videos. Maybe I always made my videos a little shorter. I edited them down. Maybe I was a little cheekier and put in some comedy or something. Like, how would that extrapolate over time? Would I be in the exact same place where I am right now? Probably not. You could probably go, well, if you're doing something different, you wouldn't be quite where you are right now. So then, if you could, you know, see all of that, it would be like you could see how it influences things. You could see how these little tweaks and changes are either positive or negative. And it's kind of like the holy grail. Everyone on YouTube as a YouTuber wants to know what things could they just tweak and change and make the algorithm deliver their videos to more people or whatever. And funny enough, like, YouTube actually provides you with tons of tools for figuring that stuff out. That's how I've managed to visibly see success, where I have done experiments in my videos at various points in time and learned this works better than that, to the point where I know like quite a few things and have stacked them up, and on occasion like made a video with the intention of going for those millions of views, the viral ones, and succeeding. I have on occasion failed to do that too, but like I know how it's done, and I see opportunities to do it, and that is through understanding what to do on YouTube and what works, at least for me when I'm doing it, right? Like, I can't just like drop what I'm doing and become a drama commentator all of a sudden. One could argue Mumbo is a cult of personality, says Garbulary. That's kind of the point that I was making, is YouTubers, it's easy for audiences to engage with a particular type of YouTubers that way, and sort of become, air quotes, obsessed with their personality or whatnot. And that seems to be one of the things I've noticed is very engaging, is the bigger like a one-person channel is, where it does focus a lot on personality, the more you get that kind of, that fan base that just talks about them a lot, if you like. I'm not talking about just here on Hermitcraft, I mean just in general. You see that a lot. I think Etho is a prime example, says Dave the Knave. It's interesting that you would mention Etho, because I feel like Etho kind of naturally resists that. I don't know how to describe why. First of, like, over the years, he's definitely, like many of us, like myself included, you make all these videos, you talk all the time, you're going to reveal more about yourself and whatnot. But I've always found Etho to be very directly about like the game, the experience, the fun of Minecraft. But now that I think about it, I know what you mean, because I was talking about how the audience treats them. And if I think about it a little bit, there was a time many years ago where you couldn't touch redstone without someone saying Etho did it, right? It didn't even matter if like Etho had done anything similar or not. It just seemed like he was some sort of like gold standard for redstone creativity. And over the years, the Minecraft community's grown so big, little things like that have shifted and changed, that's for sure. So maybe Zed particularly good at inspiring people to boot up the game instead of just watching Minecraft. That could be a factor, yep. Etho's legendary status, mythical status even. The fact he is Etho makes him an outlier. Yeah, I think when it comes to different YouTubers and whatnot, like, I'm quite amazed at how like I still always like watch his episodes. But again, like I said, I get this very like pure, genuine, to the point of like what's interesting him feeling. Someone like myself probably don't give you that feeling, because this is like, I have fun doing this. I love it. It's creative. It's also my job. I'm the sort of person who, at the same time, if like I don't feel like doing something, I tend to do it anyway. I don't feel like working out, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. It's my priority. I've already decided this is important and I turn up and do it. That's just the way I do stuff, right? I think Mumbo is very similar in a ways, and probably a couple of other hermits too, but Etho isn't. I feel like Etho's one of those people where just like, if he don't feel like it, he ain't doing it, kind of thing. And there's no wrong or right way to do it. It's just, you know, that's how just I interpret some of these other YouTubers. Like, some of us are looking at this like, you know, it's something we want to do, so we're going to keep doing it. It feels a bit weird to say, like, it's a job, but in my mind, it's like, if I just did everything on a whim and let my moods dictate when not I did or didn't do stuff, I feel like all of this would just fall apart. Like, it would have fallen apart years ago if I'd have just given in, because I think quite a lot, without structure and without me having a routine and choosing to do things, like, my moods will get the better of me. And those moods, they come and go, but like my routine gets rid of them. So like, making a Hermitcraft episode, if I don't really feel like it, once I get started, I'll get into it and enjoy it. But if I just was at that, always at the starting block, like, I couldn't be as consistent as I have been. I wouldn't be where I am right now. It would have fallen apart. It's kind of how I feel. It definitely depends on your personality, says Xisumasays. That's essentially the point that I'm making, right? It's like there's no one rule about anything we're talking about. We're talking about personalities. But, you know, how personalities play out on YouTube, I guess, right? Like, how does that then translate to success and other sorts of things? Like, I think you'll find Etho's built a very loyal fan base, but at the same time, the viralness of his content has probably long gone. There was a time where, earlier on, where the things he was doing was grabbing people's attention. And a lot of people were flocking to his channel. He was kind of like a big name. And that's sort of gone, but like, all those people that he picked up along the way, I think, are very loyal. I think he's got a very loyal viewership. That would be like my interpretation of what I'm seeing. So, you know, his channel doesn't grow very fast. I've been wondering, is like my channel sort of in that same sort of spot? Like, my Hermitcraft views have sort of returned to pre-pandemic levels, and I've picked up a few more viewers, but I'm kind of wondering, like, I get the impression watching the sub count, which, by the way, is something I do not in a anxious way. Like, I look at the YouTube video metrics, and I'm very, I'd say, resilient to the ups and downs of it now, just because I've seen it go up and down so many times, and I just remind myself, like, just enjoy the process. I've been doing this for years. I know how to do this. Don't worry about it. So I look at those metrics and I wonder what they mean, and I get this feeling like my Hermitcraft audience is not a growing audience, and it's all the other content that I'm doing at the moment that seems to be pulling people in, which I find very interesting, because Hermitcraft has grown the channel for such a long time. So, did you enjoy the waffle? Want to hear more stories and thoughts? Check out the playlist link below if you want more videos like these, and of course subscribe to the channel to catch future ones, and go to linktree.xisuma.co if you'd like to find links to all of the other activities that I do, including playing guitar, making music, Minecraft videos, and much more. Go check out that link.